Good morning. Happy Friday. So, as much as it pains me to say this, once again, I was right. There's new filings that Big Jim Finch got on the James Freeman case that are somewhat interesting. First, it did confirm that he actually paid the $40,000 bond. I know a lot of people were saying, based on the jail records, that the bond was reduced to zero. I said that it wouldn't be reduced to zero without a court hearing, and there was no evidence of a court hearing. And once again, I was right. It was a $40,000 bond that he did pay. He has filed a motion to modify the conditions of his bond, including the bond amount. He's looking for an OR bond, own recognizance bond. And it appears that his wife wants him to have contact with his family again, with her and the children. And he obviously wants contact with his family, as you would. This is not uncommon. I'm not going to say in every case, but in a significant amount of cases that I've dealt with regarding domestic violence, the victim doesn't want to discontinue the relationship entirely with the victimizer. So, I understand a lot of people are righteously indignant with Freeman, with James Springer. But just remember that while the state is involved, this is also an internal family affair. And if his family is more or less okay with him having contact, then maybe you should modify your position about how terrible James Freeman is and about how he should hang or whatever for what he did or allegedly did to his family. The other interesting thing that I noted was that James was receiving assistance for living, and he has a public defender. He was apparently appointed a second duplicative public defender when he already had one. And so he's moving to have the second duplicative one removed and just proceed with the one that he was originally assigned. So as of this point, very little of the funds. I mean, he will have had to expend funds, transportation, getting like toiletries and a couple new pairs of clothes to wear, because obviously he can't go back to the family residence with the criminal protective order in place, or whatever Arizona calls it. So he will have spent some of the money, the $80,000-ish that he raised, on toiletries and a change of clothes, but he is not, at least according to the filings, spending the money on housing, and he's not spending the money on an attorney. I am absolutely not saying this is the case, but it would be interesting. It would be interesting if, like, just as a grift, and again, I'm not saying he did this. I'm not even alleging that he did this or anything like that, but it would have been interesting if he had concocted this whole situation with his wife to get a large cash infusion. That would be interesting. I'm absolutely not saying he did it or even implying that he did it, but it would be an interesting way to make, 80 grand. 80 grand is a good chunk of change. He'll probably get, I don't know, they probably withhold some for taxes. I'm just guessing, but he'll probably get, $60,000-ish out of the whole shebang. So, I mean, it's good money if you can get it. I wouldn't turn my nose up at $60,000. So anyway, he's got a couple of pretrial conferences set. He's got the motion hearing and a pretrial conference set. No trial date yet. But again, good luck to James Freeman. Good luck to your family. I hope the family's wishes are honored in all of this. And I assume they will be. Like, when it comes to sentencing, if he's convicted, just assuming he's convicted, when it comes to sentencing, the victim impact statements do carry a lot of weight, as well as any probation report, pretrial sentence report, whatever they call it in Arizona. And but the victim statements will carry a lot of weight. And if the victim's family, or if the victim and the family want James returned to the family, to be allowed to be with the family, that's going to carry a whole lot of weight. So, I hope the victim or alleged victim get their wishes considered and get what they want out of this. And I'm less concerned about punishment for Freeman than the victim getting what they want. So I guess that makes me a bad person or whatever. I guess being right and telling people I was right makes me a bad person, but I really don't care about the judgment of the people in my comment section. Hasn't fazed me yet, won't faze me. Again, I'm just astonished at the stupidity of Freeman supporters, basically saying that all cops are bad all the time. I've talked to two cops who want to talk about the peace officer training, and one of them is in Arizona, and at some point I'm going to get off my lazy butt and figure out how to do a live stream with them. I don't know if anybody's interested in it, but I think people might benefit. And the arguments that people have made have not really addressed the issue that I was addressing. I was addressing whether cops are ignorant of the law. People keep saying, well, they keep screwing up, and yeah, cops do screw up. Again, they're human. I mean, no cop is perfect. But again, I was addressing whether or not they were ignorant of the law. And also, I have yet to see how more hours of training equates to cops making fewer mistakes beyond what the legislature in Arizona required. Again, the argument that California requires more hours. Well, having dealt with California cops professionally, I can tell you that California cops make a whole lot of mistakes. I have yet to encounter a perfect cop, and I doubt I ever will. But that doesn't mean that every cop makes mistakes every time they do anything as a cop. That's a ridiculous position. If cops always made mistakes, if cops were always wrong, explain the convictions. You have to concoct this whole giant conspiracy theory that all the attorneys are in on it, and all the judges are in on it, and all the courts of appeal are in on it, and all the state legislatures are in on it, and all the governors are in on it. Everybody everywhere is in on this giant ass conspiracy just to allow cops to be wrong all the time, every time. Like, it is, you actually have to be dissociated from reality. You actually have to ignore giant swaths of the law where criminal cases were thrown out because the cops screwed up, where cops have been arrested for screwing up, where cops have been tried and convicted for screwing up. Derek Chauvin, I mean, I'm not even saying that he screwed up, but explain that if there is no mechanism in place for cops being corrected, for cops being held accountable. Explain internal affairs. For as bad as they are, allegedly, they get a lot of cops fired. I actually had an interview, not for me, but for a different attorney, where a cop came in wanting to sue for wrongful termination because he was fired. And I don't remember if that went anywhere, but cops get fired. And so explain that if there's this giant conspiracy theory to allow the cops to do wrong all the time, every time. It just doesn't make sense. Like Freeman supporters actually have literal screws loose. One of them is accusing me of being a Freemason. I have never been a Freemason. I don't even know why that matters. I guess Freemasons are some bogeymen that are in this guy's head, and everybody who has a different take on the law or on reality is a Freemason. But to the best of my knowledge, Freemasonry and Eastern Orthodoxy are diametrically opposed. And so you can't be both. at least not if you're an actual practicing Eastern Orthodox Christian. So, I mean, the amount of stupidity that these guys possess. And he also accused me of baratry, whatever the fuck that is. Like, I don't even know what that is. I know I didn't Google it. I just don't care. Like I'm just a first year family law attorney, just trying to pay the bills, keep my family fed. Like, I practice law. I read the statutes, I read the cases, I go and I argue my client's point to the judge and try to get the evidence in front of the judge. If that makes me a bad person, okay, but like, you're a Freemason practicing baratry. Like, okay, bro. Like, if that helps you sleep at night, then okay, whatever. Anyway, that's all I got for you today. If I don't make another video, have a great weekend, and